Welcome to the 2023-24 Annual Child Care Food Program Training. With a full third of American children being overweight, we as parents and grandparents, and you especially as a caregiver, need to get children moving. They spend so much time playing video games and social media that there is little time for exercise. Even the youngest children spend more time watching the screen than they do playing outside. Caregivers can get these kids off the couch by following some easy tips to make exercise more fun. Make exercise a reward and not an obstacle. Many times parents let children play video games after they've spent 20 minutes exercising. This just makes them consider exercise as an obstacle standing in the way of what they'd rather be doing. Try making physical activity a reward for good behavior. Try tossing a frisbee back and forth as a break from homework or from chores. This makes exercise something to look forward to instead of something to just get through. Bottom line, don't give up. Children aren't used to the thrill of exercise. If you lead the way, they'll get there. Your certificate of completion will be sent to you as soon as we receive all the paperwork needed for renewal. Your 1099 will be emailed in January of 2024. If you don't want it emailed and you want it sent USPS, we can also do that, but it'll probably take longer to get to you. The USDA record-keeping requirement. You're required to keep all copies of food program documentation for now 4 years plus the current year. That changed from 3 years, and now they're saying you need to clean and keep it for 4 years. This includes the meal count worksheets, the menus, the enrollment forms, infant feeding forms, review forms, and all other CFCP-related paperwork. You must keep the previous 12 months on site, and the previous years may be stored off site, but must be made available within 5 business days. Any records dated prior to October 1st, 2019 can now be discarded on October 1st, 2023. Your reviewer will ask to see your saved paperwork at every review. Please make sure that it's all documents received from us or all documents you send to us are saved. And please make sure that it's organized by month. It should be easy if you just do it every month and don't forget about it. If you save your disallowance letters and payment schedules in your computer, please back them up to a thumb drive or some other form of backup. If you save them to your server, they don't need to be backed up. Reimbursement rates. This is effective from July 1, 23 to June 30th of 24. Breakfast went down from $166 to $165. Snack went down from $97 to $93. But lunch and supper went up from $304 to $312. So that should make a big difference in your payment. As I'm sure you all know by now, since we got paid so late this last month, that there's no set date for the payment. Normally it's between the 12th and the 25th, but the state has 45 days to pay us. Claims are processed quickly, so it's important that you send in your paperwork early. It would be best to send it in on the last day of the month after you had finished all of your meals. DCF regulations state the following. Any child who is 5 years old will be counted as a school-ager. Any child who is below 5 years old, including infants, will be counted as a preschooler. If you homeschool, A new homeschool letter must be submitted annually to us for any child whose meals are being claimed during school hours, AM snack or lunch. Documentation must come from the school board, not the parent. Documentation is due at the beginning of every school year, even if one was sent in for the previous year. Suspicious or unusual claiming practices are identified when a review of the documentation does not provide a plausible or logical explanation for the claim. That's block claiming. Block claims submitted where all children are present and claimed for any meal 15 days in a row. No one is ever late, no one ever leaves early, are being flagged for additional reviews, as always. These additional reviews can include parental contacts, review of ELC program documentation, DCF inspection documentation, and sign-in sign-out sheets. All of these state agencies have the access to each other's records, so please make certain that you are only claiming meals for the children when they are actually present and served. This is the 5-day test that we are required to do at every review. You can see that this provider claimed 10 children every day for the 5 days prior to the review. On the day of the review, only 2 children were present. This is suspicious and could lead to contacting parents, ELC, or DCF for confirmation. Please do not claim a child on your bubble sheet unless they are actually present and eating. I really don't like giving caps or serious deficiencies. Forms and submissions. Please make sure on the enrollment sheet that you put your name under the daycare provider's name. So many times when you've left it blank, the parent will put their child's name in that box or on that line. So start writing your name in there before you ever give it to the parent. Then make sure that they write the child's date of birth. That's the thing that we miss out a lot when I'm getting them in. When they come down to the primary hours of care, say for instance, this parent said they were coming. The primary hours of care were 6:50 to 4:30. Okay, you can't claim supper if they leave at 4:30. So you got to make sure that that's changed if they stay for supper. If they don't stay for supper, then that's fine. But just make sure that yours match the bubble sheet at all times. Then make sure when they sign it that if it's if it's a new child, the enrollment date that's at the top and the date need to match so that I know exactly what day that child started. After that, I know the kids. The parents have to sign the next few lines, and that's fine. That way the enrollment sheet and the enrollment and the signature date will not be the same. Please make sure that you are using the menu A and menu B that have the effective date is August 1st, 2022. This is the menu replacement form. Anytime you change anything in a meal, you have to use the menu replacement form to show what you actually served. This needs to be posted at your home in advance of the meal. So if you're changing the meal when we come for a review, make sure you have this menu replacement form posted. Thanks. Please note that when you change the standard menu on a meal that has a grain, the substitution must also be a whole grain. If you make your own menus, make sure that a whole grain is served at least one time per day. This is your meal count worksheet, or as we like to call it, our bubble sheet. On your bubble sheet, please write your name, the number of operating days, in which is the number of days that you actually fed a child at least one meal. Please write the child's name and make sure to use the exact name from their enrollment sheet. Don't use a nickname. Please always check to see if they are infant, preschool, or school age on the bubble sheet where it has the place to check it. Please always list your students in alphabetical order by last name, not first name. If a new student starts, you can list him at the bottom and then put it in the alphabetical order the next month. Make sure to write the enrollment date beside the word enrolled if it's the first time the child is enrolled. And you only have to do this when it's the first time they are claimed. Then, write the withdrawal date beside the word withdrawn. Please, please, please total your bubble sheet in the total and grand total boxes and make sure to sign and date it before you turn it in. If you use the automatic meal count worksheet, please be aware that meals must be entered daily. Failure to do so will result in meal disallowances during any review and may cause the forfeiture of your privilege to use the automated meal count worksheet. You must always have the capability to print a copy of the meal count worksheet at every on-site review conducted by our representatives. DOH or USDA staff. Having faulty equipment is not an acceptable excuse for their inability to produce the meal count worksheet. In case of equipment malfunctions, you must use the manual paper meal count worksheet until your equipment meets all the requirements regarding the automated meal count worksheet. Failure to adhere to these guidelines may result in the forfeiture of your right to use the automated meal count worksheet, meal disallowance, and may require further corrective action plans. If you have technical difficulties, you must have a manual system in place at all times. Difficulties. This is an electronic meal count worksheet. Once again, you need to put your name and the operating days at the top, the month and the year. You need to list the child's name and the date they were enrolled if it's the first time, and the date that anyone was withdrawn for after that. Down at the bottom, you need to sign it. And if it's 1 or 2, I need to know how many pages you are using. And I need the sheet is self-adding, so you don't have to do any of that, and just turn it in. If you use the automated meal count worksheet, please be aware that the meal counts must be entered daily. Failure to do so will result in meal disallowances during any reviews and may cause the forfeiture of your privilege to use the automated meal count worksheet. You must also have the capability to print a copy during every on-site review conducted by our representatives, DOH or USDA staff. Having faulty equipment is not an acceptable excuse for your inability to be able to print your meal count worksheet at any review. In case of equipment malfunctions, you must use the manual paper meal count worksheet until your equipment meets the requirements regarding the automated meal count worksheet. Failure to adhere to these guidelines may result in the forfeiture of your right to use the meal count worksheet. Meal disallowances may require further corrective actions. If you have technical difficulties, You must have a manual system in place at all times. This is the instructions that all of you signed when you wanted to use the meal count worksheet, the automated meal count worksheet. So if you need a copy of this, just give me a call and I'll send it to you. If you are using shifts, just please be aware that we are required to stay for the entire shift when you review your daycare. So if you have a shift schedule, if you have a shift at 2 o'clock for a snack and another one at 3 o'clock for a snack, then just know that we have to stay for both shifts. If you're no longer serving shifts, please do not check shifts on your provider data sheet, which is enclosed in your packet. Please call or email us with any changes during the year. If you have shifts, you'll need to do the following. Every student that is claimed for a shift meal must appear on the shift schedule. If you claim a child for a shift and they don't appear on, their name does not appear on the shift schedule, the meal will be disallowed. If during the month there are holidays, weekends, or non-school days, please send a separate shift schedule for each one. Please remember that. Send me separate shift schedules so that I can see exactly what you were doing and write the dates on them. If your shift schedules are not complete each month, you lose the privilege to claim shift meals. This is just your shift schedule. If you would like to claim shift and you want me to explain it further, please give me a call. This is your state of Florida mandated adult-to-child ratio sheet. Please be aware that a maximum of 10 children, you can keep a maximum of 10 children if no more than 5 are preschool age, and of those 5, not more than 2 are under the age of 12 months. That was for small, regular family child cares. Enlarged family, you could keep a maximum of 12 children with no more than 4 children under the age of 24 months of age. Reviews. Items to be posted in your home is your Building the Future poster, your WIC flyer, your standard infant menu, your children's menu, your DCF license, and your sponsor provider agreement. Every time we come for a review, we will be looking for those in your posted area, so please make sure all of those items are posted. On-site reviews. It is your responsibility to train your substitute regarding the food program. They must allow your reviewer to conduct a meal review even if you're not at home. Your substitute must be capable of answering questions, but it must also be able to locate all food program related documents as well as perform an approved meal service. If you're frequently in a different part of your house and you can't easily hear the door, you must notify the office so we can update your files to call or attempt a different door during the visit. It is imperative that we have your most updated phone number. Common review findings. No one home during scheduled meal times and no prior notice given. We are giving caps every time we come to a home and no one's home at a mealtime. You must be home every mealtime or let us know in advance that you're going to go somewhere. But you need to let us know like a day in advance that you're going to be gone. You can't just up and leave because you wanted to and there's no children there. Okay? So make sure of that. Not serving meal at scheduled meal time. That's another one. We come and you say, oh, well, I've already fed the meal. Okay, you cannot do that. You have to do it at your meal time. Claiming a child meal under a different child's name, like accidentally using the wrong last name. That happens a lot with a family. You have a family of kids, but one of them has a different last name. Make sure you use the right name on the meal count worksheet. Not submitting menu changes form when they're recorded at the review, or not put the change form up before the meal service is served. Not serving proper milk or having current milk on hand, or not serving the required amount. Cleaning supplies not being stored separately from the food. At every review, we are required to do a 5-day test, just like I told you earlier. If you look at this 5-day test, you see 6, 6, 5, 2, 3. And that the meal count total there is 22. Then you divide that by 5, which is 4, and times 0.85, which is 3.5. And the number of children there that day was 4. So they passed the 5-day test. That's what we expect to see instead of the 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 like you saw earlier. Review reminders. Give your meal count worksheet or your bubble sheet right away. Give it to your reviewer. Begin to print immediately if you use the auto bubble sheet. Give your reviewer your menus and make sure that unflavored milk appears on the menu if you make your own menus. Find your thermometers in all refrigerators that you use for daycare, all refrigerators and all freezers that are used for daycare food. Make sure the refrigerator one is 41 degrees or below and the freezer is 0 degrees or below. Always have your sponsor provider agreement posted with the other food program documents. Make sure that processed foods have a code which appears on the approved commercially processed combination food list or have a CN label. At all reviews, we are required to make sure your home is sanitary, insect, and rodent free. Make sure prepared food in your refrigerator is stored in clean, covered containers which are labeled and dated if you plan to use them for daycare. If you use them for yourself, just tell your reviewer at the time they're not for daycare. Wash your hands as well as all children's hands with soap and water. If you change your menu, it must be posted in advance of the meal. A menu replacement form is on our website for your convenience, and there's some in your packet. You could receive an inspection from CCFP personnel at any time without us. They'll have badges and be looking for the same things that we look for. Make sure you can produce 1 year's copies of all CCFP material and that information is organized. Nutrition. This is your meal pattern for children for breakfast. There are 3 required components: a fluid milk, a fruit or vegetable, a grain, or you may replace the grain with a meat or meat alternative no more than 3 times per week. The milk for 1-year-olds must be unflavored whole milk from ages 2 to 5, unflavored, 1% or skim milk. 6 to 12, unflavored or flavored, 1% or skim. And if you look across, you can see the ages. 1 to 2 must have 4 ounces. 3 to 5 must have 6 ounces. 6 to 12 must have 8 ounces. Vegetables and fruits, or portions of both. Juice may only be served once a day. They have to be a 1/4 cup for 1 to 2, a 1/2 cup for 3 to 5, and a 1/2 cup for 6 to 12. The grains. You could serve a bread, biscuit, or muffin. You could serve cooked cereal or cereal dry flakes or rounds, and cereal dry puffed. But you need to look at, there's a copy of this in your packet. You need to look at these portions to make sure you're serving enough. You can always serve more. You don't have to just stop at just serving them this much. And then if they ask for more, you can always give them more. That's your option. Then we go to the meat or meat alternative: lean meat, poultry or fish, cheese, cottage cheese, cheese food or cheese spread, eggs, whole, yogurt, nut, seed butter, peanut butter, I guess. And then again, it's in these quantities for the ages up above, and that's breakfast. For lunch and supper, you have to serve a 1-year-old unflavored whole milk. 2 to 5 has to be unflavored 1% or skim. 6 to 12 unflavored or flavored 1% or skim. And again, they have to be in these quantities for these ages: 4 ounces, 6 ounces, 8 ounces. Fruit or vegetables, juice may only be served 1 time per day. And you have to have for 1 to 2 1/8 of a cup, for 3 to 5 1/4 of a cup, and for 6 to 18 1/2 a cup. And that's really not a whole lot of vegetables for a child. So if you want to serve more, that's perfectly fine. Then the grains: bread, biscuit, roll, bun, tortilla, crackers, pasta, rice, all in these quantities for the ages up above. And then the meat or meat alternative, again, the 1 ounce for a 1 to 2 year old, 1.5 ounce for a 3 to 5, and 2 ounces for a 6 to 12 year old. And then the cheese is different, and it has to be natural processed. Cottage cheese is good. Cooked dry beans or peas, again, look at the quantities and always make sure you're serving enough. So that was lunch and supper. All right, the meal patterns for children at snack. There's 2 required components, and only 1 may be a beverage. Again, you've got the fluid milk, the same, except there's 4 ounces for 1 to 2 year old, and 4 ounces for a 3 to 5 year old, and 8 ounces for a 6 to 12 year old. The vegetables, half a cup, and 3/4 of a cup. But you only have to serve 2 of the components that we're going over for one snack. So fruits and vegetables, half a cup, 3/4 cup. Grains, you can see the required quantities. And meat or meat alternative, you can see the required too. So that's the meal patterns for children at snack. You're required to serve 1-year-old children unflavored whole milk. You're required to serve children's ages 2 to 5, 1% or fat-free milk, unflavored. You're required to serve children 6 through 12, unflavored or flavored milk or fat-free milk. 2% milk is not creditable for any student on the USDA food program. If you make your own menus, unflavored, fat-free, 1% or whole milk must appear on your menu. Other creditable milks are like buttermilk, goat's milk, UHT, commercial eggnog, acidified milk, lactose-free and lactose-reduced milk, soybean milk, or a parent letter must be on site, and you must send one to me that the child is drinking soy milk. Question: if a child is unable to have milk, will I still be reimbursed for the child's breakfast, lunch, and supper? Yes. You must obtain a medical statement from a doctor or doctor's staff stating the disabilities, what foods need to be replaced, and what they need to be replaced with. Please contact our office with any child-specific questions or concerns. This is the new medical statement. On the medical statement, the parent must put the first and last name of the child and the date of birth, the name of the center or care provider, your name, whatever daycare they're in, and the name of the parent or guardian and their telephone number. Then you give it to the doctor, and the doctor fills out how does the participant physical or mental impairment restrict their diet. Then what foods must be omitted, please be specific, and list the foods to be substituted. Any additional comments? If they have a texture problem, then you can check that. And then you need a signature by the you need the licensed medical professional name. You need the signature of the licensed medical professional, and you need the medical office name and address. Then you need the title of who signed it, you need the date it was signed, and the phone number. Make sure you have all of that if you need a medical statement. These are the different milks that you can serve in place of milk. You must have the parent's consent form, which follows in a minute, and but you can use any of these. This is the form you can use if you're just having the parent put the milk, change the milk, and you're using soy milk, or one of the milks that I just showed you on the slide. This dietary preference request form must have the child's first and last name, their date of birth, the name of your center your name, whoever the provider is, the name of the parent and guardian and their phone number, and then a dietary preference check, all that supply. They don't need a medical need because they're just replacing cow's milk with soy milk. Dietary accommodations, they must write what that is. List the reasons for requested accommodations. List the food items to be omitted and substitution to be requested below. All food must meet CCFP meal pattern requirements. The food omitted might be milk, and then you would replaced it with silk. That would be fine. Have the parent fill out the bottom part. I will provide the following food items, and they can provide the milk if they so desire. You can't make them, supply the milk, but it can be, you can ask them if they'll supply it. Then you need the parent's signature and date, their printed name, and their phone number. And then this form, as well as the medical statement, must be turned in to me, and you must keep one too on your daycare. Fruits and vegetables. The vegetable and fruit components are separate. There is a fruit component and a vegetable component. A fruit or a vegetable must be served twice a week at breakfast and twice a week at snack. Fruits and vegetables can be fresh, canned, or frozen. This is just a little help to let you know how much is a cup. Like half a banana looks like a cup. A little over a half of an apple is a cup. You can just use this to figure out how much you need to serve. Lunch and supper must contain at least one vegetable. You may serve 2 vegetables as long as they are different. Fruits or vegetables containing vitamin A must be served at least twice a week. Fruits or vegetables containing vitamin C must be served daily. Juice may be used as a fruit or a vegetable at any meal. Juice may only be claimed one time per day. Only 1% juice is allowed, and juice is never allowed for infants. At least one serving per day must be 100% whole grain. Grains and bread must be whole grain, enriched, or made from whole grain or enriched meal flour. This is just some pictures of some different kinds of bread that you can use. If you look at the Sara Lee, that's not white bread, that's wheat bread. Sweet grains or breads are not creditable or reimbursable. This includes cake, brownies, cookies, iced crackers, all the ones in those lists, granola bars. Those are not creditable. French toast, waffles, and pancakes are creditable if served plain or with a small amount of syrup. Cereal must contain 6 grams or less of sugar to be creditable. Animal crackers, graham crackers, and muffins are the only creditable sweets, but the muffins must not have sugar as their first ingredient. Meat and meat alternatives include lean meat, poultry, fish, cheese, eggs, yogurt, dried beans or peas, nuts, but they may fulfill no more than 1/2 of the alternative requirement at lunch and supper. Peanut butter. Ages 1 to 2 are required 2 tablespoons. Ages 3 to 5 is 3 tablespoons, and ages 6 to 12 is 4 tablespoons. That's at lunch and supper. So what you need to do is you need to serve your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you need to add a piece of cheese, a boiled egg, some other protein to meet the other half of the requirement. Yogurt must not contain more than 23 grams of sugar per 6 ounces to be creditable. 4 ounce is 15 grams, 6 ounce is 23 grams, and 8 ounce is 30 grams or less. If you look at this yogurt box, it shows that it's a 6 ounce serving of and the sugar on it says 18 grams. So since it's no more than 23 grams, it is creditable. If you look at these cheeses, the creditable cheeses are natural cheese and pasteurized cheese or 100% cheese. If you find that, they serve 1 ounce for 1 ounce of a meat or meat alternative. If you find a cheese that says a cheese food, or cottage cheese, ricotta cheese, or cheese spread, then you have to serve 2 ounces to equal the 1 ounce of the meat or meat alternative for that. So just be aware of that when you're buying cheese. It's not always better to buy the cheaper cheese. It's probably better to buy the more expensive cheese that's not wrapped in the packages. And then you just take it apart. It's not that hard to get the slices of cheese out. These are non-creditable cheeses. They are imitation cheese or cheese product. Cheese sauces, they need a CN label. So if you look at that, Kraft or Velveeta, either one is creditable. Kraft is creditable if you buy the cheese that's not in the little package, individual packages. None of these cheeses are creditable on the USDA food program. Deep frying is not allowed as a way of preparing food. You can pan fry in a small amount of oil if that's what you want to do, but you cannot deep fry. Hot dogs and bologna must be all meat and poultry products with no byproducts, cereal, or extenders. And they need to say 100% beef, so 100% chicken, whatever they are. Main dish combination products that are commercially processed, such as ravioli, beef stew, spaghetti with meat sauce, egg rolls, pizza, chicken nuggets, fish sticks, etc., must contain a CN label or a manufacturer's analysis sheet to show that the product contains a sufficient amount and quantities of the meat or meat alternative or the grains or bread to meet the meal patterns. Otherwise, it may be counted towards it may not be counted as a reimbursable meal. These are the combination processed foods that you can serve with fish sticks and chicken nuggets. It's a lot more expensive that way, but you can always just buy a piece of fish and fry it up with make fish sticks out of it. The kids would like it, and it's more tasty. And same thing with chicken nuggets. You as providers must make water available to children upon request throughout the whole day. And for small children, you need to offer them water because they don't often know how to ask for it. So make sure that they get plenty of water. Especially when you're new to the program, you are strongly encouraged to measure or weigh the foods being served with measuring cups or a food scale to ensure you are serving the proper required amounts. Our reviewers may at some time measure the amount served during a review. You are required to have a working thermometer in your refrigerator and freezer at all times. The refrigerator must be maintained at 41 degrees or less, and the freezer at 0 degrees or less. Food must be cooked and served at proper temperatures to avoid foodborne illnesses. Cleaning supplies must be stored separately from food. There must be no evidence of rodent or insect infestation. Providers, children, and staff must wash hands properly, frequently, and before food preparation, serving, and eating. Okay, onwards and upwards to infant nutrition. You are required to offer a formula from the CCFP approved formula list, usually Parent's Choice from Walmart. If the parent wishes to use another formula, they can supply their own by writing in the name of the formula they wish to supply on the infant feeding form. An infant feeding form is required for all infants. As you can see, the infant feeding form has changed, so make sure that you write down your facility name, your name, the formulas offered, whatever your formula you offer. Parent's Choice from Walmart probably, the infant name and the date of birth. And then you go down and you complete the following. If she plans to bring pumped or breast milk or visit the facility to nurse, or if she accepts the formula offered by you, or I prefer to supply my own formula. Then you're going to record the changes and updates below as needed, like from the infant switches from breast milk to a center provided infant formula or something like that, and the date and the parent's initials. And then the parent needs to check this. The facility has not requested or required me to provide infant formula or food. And that's okay. But you don't have to serve the kind of formula that they want to use. If you tell them that you have Parent's Choice as what you provide, that's all that you have to provide. You do not have to provide whatever they want you to. So, if desired, I understand I may supply only one component per meal. You need your signature, your printed name, and your date on that infant feeding form. If you're serving infants, the standard infant menu must be posted. You must have your name on it, and you must have the formulas that your daycare offers to supply, which is normally Parents' Choice from Walmart. There again, it shows the infant feeding form, or the standard infant menu, showing the Parents' Choice from Walmart and Parents' Choice from Walmart as the soy-based and the milk-based. This is the meal pattern for infants. From birth to 11 months, breakfast, lunch, and supper. Okay. From birth to 5 months, they're required to have breast milk or formula. That's all that they have to have. If you want to serve them something else, you need to get a letter from the parent that they wish to have their baby have something else. So you look at it, it's 4 to 6 ounces all the way down. Okay, when they turn 6 months old, you want to start giving them infant cereal. And the infant cereal is not the ones that have bananas and rice cereal. It is the rice cereal only. And you can always take and put fresh fruit or jarred fruit in the cereal. It can have meat, fish, poultry, eggs, cooked dry beans and peas, cheese, yogurt, cottage cheese in those amounts that are over here under the 6 to 11 months old. And that's for breakfast, lunch, and supper. For snack, 3 components are required: a breast milk, a grain, and a fruit or vegetable. So make sure that at every snack you have their formula, you have a grain of some sort of bread, a cracker, infant cereal, whatever you choose, and a fruit or a vegetable in those portions. Here again on the standard infant menu, it shows breakfast, lunch, and supper, breast milk, and iron-fortified infant formula, or iron-fortified infant formula, and one or more of the following. This is for breakfast, lunch, and supper: an infant cereal, a variety of meats and poultry, fish, whole egg, cooked dry beans, cheese, plain, sliced on thin strips, cottage cheese or yogurt, and a variety of vegetables and fruits to include carrots, green beans, mixed fruit, peas, potatoes, sweet potatoes, squash, applesauce, bananas, for mixed fruit, peaches, and pears. Any kind of fruit that you would like to serve them, as long as the water is not the first ingredient. For snack, they're required one or more of the following: bread, small pieces of bread or toast, small pieces, crackers, and small pieces of unsalted plain crackers or teething biscuits, infant cereal, ready-to-eat cereal, and a variety again of fruits and vegetables. Infants birth to 5 months may only be served formula or breast milk. You must have documentation on file in your daycare home from the parent showing any infant under 5 months old to be served anything other than formula or breast milk. You are allowed to claim meals when the mother directly breastfeeds in your daycare home. Juice is not creditable in any form for infants. A vegetable or a fruit or combination of both must be served to the infants at every meal, including snack. Once again, fruit or vegetable juice cannot be served to infants. And never serve them honey to infants less than 1 year of age. Honey may contain botulism spores and could make them very sick. Jar foods, the first ingredient must be the actual fruit or vegetable to be creditable. Combination foods and dinners like beef and noodles or chicken and rice are not creditable. Baby food can either be homemade, prepared, or commercially prepared. If you look at these 2 jars, you see that water is the first ingredient in one of them. So just make sure that you do not serve anything that has water. You have to serve is the whatever fruit or vegetable it is. It has to be that one as the first ingredient. The standard infant menu must be posted. The formulas offered sections at the top must be complete. Remember, an infant feeding form is required in addition to the enrollment form to enroll all children under 12 months of age. Okay, it's time for all the uniforms to be renewed for next year. Below is a checklist of the items that need to be complete for your renewal. All paperwork is due into my office by September 15th, 2023. What we need is your provider data sheet, your updated enrollment sheets, your 1099 authorization, your holidays open schedule, an alternative phone number, and your training letter. Your sponsor provider does not need to be updated if the date on the bottom left reads 9 of 2021. If you haven't received your packet yet, you should receive it really soon, and it'll have all the forms that you need. All forms can be accessed at our website of infantandchildnutrition.org, and then you just tab over to provider documents. This presentation is now available at the website for your convenience or for future reference from this training. This is your notice of right to administrative review. If something happened and I was going to disqualify you, this would be what you would want to do. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new.